Rise and shine. All right. Overload of energy certainly makes you feel a bit mad. Now, I'm not the only one who's ever experienced it. I sometimes see it in some kind of women. Yeah, right. It's like a woman that's older than 60. And I saw her how she was talking about doing her exercises. And I can imagine, right, if you see those yogis that are in perfect balance, at least when they're being filmed or shown, or when you read about them, right? They're like in perfect balance with their surroundings, with themselves, and all of that. And then you can see them just doing their exercises with a certain amount of seriousness. And I believe that it's about channeling the energy, all right? Yeah. It certainly is about channeling the energy. So you're channeling energy into what? You're channeling the energy into what? Into this. But once you've done it, it's done. Yeah. Once you've done it, it's done. So there's no use doing it again. It's like I already have 3 hats that I crocheted. How many more can I do? Well, I could do lots of them and then sell them to people. Certainly. Yeah, I could also clean this room. It's not actually dirty, because all these clothes are freshly washed, except for that yellow sweater. All right. Right, I could make art right now. I could also defecate, because there's a lot of pressure down here. A movie is just being rendered, the scale of your mind. I don't really feel like sleeping. But I lay down on the ground, and I certainly feel like I actually have a lot of energy. But I have trouble how to channel it. And now I had to think about certain things. First of all, a 60-year-old woman, which you may call my mother, but as I consider nature my mother, right, she's like the woman that kind of pushed me out or something. I don't know how to see these things anymore, right? It's like kind of maddening. But I still like to think about it sometimes. Until I say, just let it go. It doesn't really matter who is who, what is what. It is the way it is. And now I'm back in my apartment, and for some reason I decided not to carry a lot of stuff here. I still carried stuff here. Not the clothes, but just my laptop. And some food. And these things you use to, like, hang up your washing. Light! So yeah, sometimes you just feel like being a little bit stupid. And I remember this woman, how she was at the age of 60-something. Right, let's just call her, for argument's sake, my mother. How she was standing in front of me, and she was saying how she does exercise, and then suddenly she did this. Yeah, she like, at the age of 60-something. Now the question I have for you is that appropriate behavior? Or is this just being stupid? And I don't know why, but this very simple thing haunted me for a very long time, and occasionally this image of her standing there doing this came into my mind. And I still haven't come to a conclusion, and maybe I will come to one now, why she did that. It may seem like something very trivial to you. You may think, why do you obsess about it? Yeah, you may even say, I have a problem. The thing is, I just like to solve riddles. And that was a riddle for me. And it got stuck with me. And for some reason, when she did that, to me, I don't know if it was a trauma, but I was asking myself, what did I see there? And you know what I saw there? I saw a woman in this very few seconds where she let this slip. Oh, this is inside of you? How long have you been carrying that for? Why don't you let go of this? Because I can tell that because she's the woman that was heavily involved in raising and teaching me, that this is like some kind of inner child gone rogue. And I'm not saying that in a, that's very bad. I'm just saying that that's probably something that has shaped my life in a way. Just like this, pushing work back. It's something that, the woman that you could call my mother would do, right? She would let dishes stand for a couple of days and then do them. She wasn't really serious about doing anything. And from what I heard her say about her childhood, because I listened quite a lot to my parents' stories when they want to share something. They don't always want to share something, but sometimes we get to this place together where they share something about their childhood that I haven't heard yet. And there's this one story which I have heard a couple of times, which was that my grandmother was quite strict. And whenever my mother wanted to do something, my grandmother would loom over her and tell her how to do it different. And that's basically the way I've been raised by the man that you may call my father. Yeah. But he's not just, he's not really my father. You could say he fathered me. But what is really my father is just like, it's like life itself. And you could say, well, that guy is absolutely nuts. I mean, he's like completely a maniac. Yeah, sure, man. I'm nuts. I'm crazy. I mean, you got it. But to me, it's great fun. And if you can literally channel your madness in a variety of ways, such as I, then you have to agree that I certainly have understood something which most people are too afraid to understand. And today, I just went there. I ate sugar. I ate sugar, man. Now we're getting to the problem. I ate sugar. And now I come back here and I lie down and I feel like on the inside, I feel like the image I have in my mind of this, it's this kind of silliness that you can see in this whole society. People running around. Yeah, let's have a ball. Let's have a feast. Let's complain about climate change, but keep driving cars. Yeah? Let's complain about climate change and that there are no insects anymore. and then look for, other ways to drive cars. Because it surely cannot be the solution to just get rid of cars. Because that's the only solution that makes sense, to become less lazy. I mean, yesterday I did something which should be a normal thing for a human being to do, which is walk to the boulder hall, then boulder, and then walk back. And to me, that was a major challenge. And I had to really challenge myself, because it seems a bit tedious and it seems a bit stupid for some reason. Let's put on the lights so that, it looks a bit brighter in here. It even feels a bit brighter. Because somehow if I have the lights off, it feels a bit gloomy. And I really think that partly this shit show that we find ourselves in is due to all the sugar that we eat. And why do you think that is so? I think it's some kind of energetic overload. It's just too much. And that creates a complete chaos in you. And if you don't pay attention to this, that basically runs amok. It creates havoc, right? It creates this kind of politician standing on top eating caviar. Well, they are fully aware that there are people working hard in factories so that they can sit on top and get fatter and drive around in limousines and that kind of thing. And that's why spirituality, the essential teachings of spirituality, not the shit that you see people do, where they sit around, do namaste, and then tell you, please subscribe to my channel. Hello, angel. Please subscribe to my channel. What the fuck, man? Why can't you just make videos? And if somebody wants to subscribe, they know how to subscribe. Why do I have to tell you to subscribe? I really think that a lot of people only get a lot of subscribers because they constantly tell people, subscribe to my channel. Yeah. So the point is, what is the point? The point is that society in general has gotten kind of really, really silly. Because we're on this kind of constant high. But it's not the calm high that you get from fasting. Or maybe ayahuasca. But fasting is even a calmer high. A sort of clarity, right? Sugar it makes you stupid. It makes you silly, and everything everybody eats is sugar. Now, the only reason why I can tell a difference is because sometimes I just don't eat sugar. And then I eat it again. And I realize now, very profoundly, very strongly, that eating sugar makes you stupid. It makes you lose your grip on what's really going on. It's like you eating is like, yeah, you can only feel that if you don't eat it for some time. And I really had to struggle now. Because it's not only that I ate sugar. Because I didn't eat sugar yesterday. But I came back and I felt like exhausted from the day. I don't know if that is is it normal that I felt exhausted? I was happy and glad to come home because I hiked 3 hours there, I took my time, I also went barefoot. And I started walking at 2, I arrived there at 5:30. Which completely blew my mind, because I also took pictures on the way. And then I climbed, or bouldered for, let's say, I started at about 5:30. 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. Yeah, maybe 3 to 4 hours. But it was tough bouldering, that was a good session. I cracked some routes that I had been working on since the last time I was there. It was good, right? I talked with a lot of people, right? I did my own thing, but also did things with others. And then maybe at around 10, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I took a shower and then I walked back. In the dark, through the night. And that was already something scary, because I've been listening to the Carlos Castaneda books already before, but now I listened to another one called Journey to Islam. And what I found was that a lot of the teachings from Don Juan, and I really want to read the books. So I have to get them. But it just opens me up about the consequences of certain acts. That you don't just do whatever you want all the time. There are sometimes times where you have to do certain things. And there are times where you say, yeah, maybe I don't go into the forest tonight. Maybe I don't go swimming in a lake tonight. Because I've been doing these things for a while now, and I don't want to say that I'm just that I'm scared or something, but I just realized there's something at stake here. For instance, yesterday, I had a towel with me, and I knew when I went back I would go past a lake. A freshwater lake, I mean. Maybe lakes are always freshwater, I cannot tell. And so I walked back. And before I walked back, I was considering, okay, am I going to shower now? Nice and warm? Or am I going to swim in the lake? And then I thought, wait a second. Really like this, wait a second. Like, what's gonna happen if you dress now in your mostly fresh clothes? You will feel dirty underneath. And then you will carry that dirt all the way to the lake. And then in the night, you will go and swim there. And the problem is, you won't know how you will feel afterwards. And I felt like it would just knock me out. If I would have done it, I would have crawled home. I would have probably taken 10 hours to get back. I don't know that. But it might as well have been. And I realized the challenge of being barefoot is already enough. The challenge of going alone through the darkness, how many kilometers is it? I mean, I don't really have a slow pace. But if it takes me on a good day where I wear shoes, because you do walk a little bit faster, or I walk a little bit faster with shoes. Because I don't walk barefoot nearly as often as I would like to. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it should be 7-8 kilometers. I don't know. I don't want to Yeah, it's enough, right? It's enough. It's enough that it's a challenge to hike there and then climb. And then hike back. And so I thought about, okay, what am I gonna do? And then I made a choice and I said, you know what? I'm going to, because I also didn't eat the whole day. I had tea with me, right? Actually, that's what I want to do right now. I want to drink some tea. And so what I did was, I showered, I dressed, I readied myself, and then I started to walk. Oh wow, I love sitting in a mess. I really love sitting in a mess. You know, sometimes I love it if my apartment is like this. I really love sitting in a mess sometimes. I can't help it. Because that's also life, right? I mean, you struggle, you fight, and then sometimes you feel like you've been beaten to a pulp. And because, you know, there are no wars. You know, when I want to be courageous, I hike to the boulder hall and then I boulder. And that's an act of courage to me, personally. Others may think it's a waste of time or it's stupid, but that's just pussies talking, right? So, I did it. And as I walked back, I was thinking about all the things that Don Juan has talked about to Carlos. Or, you know, whatever Carlos wrote down. And I thought about it. And I realized, oh wow, everything is a spirit. Literally everything. And sometimes I just have these conversations with myself, and it said, whoa, I don't like this. Well, yeah, it's an action cam. It's supposed to withstand it. Yeah, sometimes you just feel like, maybe I should be a little bit more considerate. Anyway, so what it said was, I think that's what I had to work through, right? Sometimes I really have to think about what I have to do now. And this just came up. Because the things that I do, you know, it doesn't really matter if it's true or not. But to me, it feels true. Because I can literally see sometimes weird shapes standing around. I can feel certain forms of energy. Sometimes I shake people's hands and afterwards my entire arm feels a little numb, a little cold. So I do realize that energy does exist. Because if energy didn't exist, then whether or not you masturbated shouldn't make any difference. But I can feel that I feel different when I did still watch porn. And now that I stopped watching porn, I feel different. I feel less dirty. I literally feel more clean. And that's not just something because porn itself is dirty. That has something with energy you open yourself up to. And I spend a great deal observing how I feel about certain things, what I perceive. Because if you look at things with your third eye, you don't see it like you see, right, this cup. You don't see it like you see your hand. You see it sometimes like a flimmer. You see it like a shape zooming around. And when you're not used to looking at it like this, at the world, then you just think it's all imagination. You know, that's what science says. These things all don't exist. It's all esoteric nonsense. Yeah, but the truth is that we're destroying the planet and that we run around breathing toxic air because people are too lazy to walk. And because to do the groceries, they have to drive with the car because they're too weak to carry the groceries. Whereas they could go for a walk and take their child and then walk to the supermarket and then carry the groceries back, and it would make them stronger. But because people are so lazy, it's already an effort for them. And because they constantly sit, in cars, they always lean on something, so they're all weak. And so I do realize that there are things like power or energy. And the more energy you build up, the more energy you have. And the more energy you have, the more powerful or the more manly you will also become. But there's also, what kind of energy are you building up and feeding yourself with? So I go for a hike because there's nobody to challenge me, so I have to challenge myself. I feel like I'm getting a little bit weak. I feel a bit like a pussy. So I think, what can I do? What challenge appeals to me? All right, I go for a hike. And then I boulder, and then I hike back. And then I get back home, and the first thing I do is not I just sleep, I collect. I collect my dirt, my clean laundry from the cellar. Yeah, and that's all I could manage, right? It's like, that was the end of it. And so the reason I ate sugar today is quite simple. Because first of all, I don't have sugar at home. Yeah. And now I've told you also, right, the people that think they're my parents, because we're all spirits, right? We're all part of the same spirit. We are all spirits. But humans think they're just humans, and they think animals are animals. But there are animals that are spirits. And then there are animals which are really more like animals, but then there are also spirits that can look like animals. And sometimes there are people, and these people are more like spirits in disguise. I've seen things on psychedelic mushrooms that would make you scream out your lungs, shit your pants, and then go and sign yourself in a mental hospital. That's the kind of stuff that I've seen. Suddenly like a voice telling me when I was at night in a park, and a voice was telling me I was underneath. It just kept coming and said, go to these people, because they were having a party, go to them. And then it said, go to the city. And I stood still and I said, fuck off, I don't want to go to the city. And then suddenly a weight lifted itself from me, and there was a laughing voice, and I saw a shape with my inner eye, like a really evil, grinning thing that had been looming over me, like, and then it vanished. The spell was broken, I fought through it. And that's what I felt just now. A little bit of silliness. I don't know what that is or where I picked it up. But if you go to the boulder hall or you hike back home, you don't know what you pick up. But it's very likely that I picked it up at the boulder hall. Because I'm quite open, right? I open myself. You pick something up, and then what do you do with it? Well, you observe yourself at all times. You try to be in the observer as much as you can, so that you know what's going on. Because when I feel inside, like, yeah, and I was just with the people that think they're my parents. Yeah, I really mean it like this. I may smile a little about it because it's hard for me to take this serious. But I'm actually quite serious about it. I feel a little itchy also. So, some people say there are no evil spirits, but I realize there are spirits. Right? Some people say all these things don't exist. I say they do exist. Because I've seen them, and I see them working on people. Why do you think people smoke, man? That's all some kind of spirit voodoo thing. And once certain entities start feeling comfortable in your space, they can make you do all kinds of things. They can make you think thoughts. But in the end, you're the one thinking it, so it's your job to get rid of them. There were times where I had really violent thoughts. Sure, you can say, yeah, that's just pent-up energy. Yeah, it's possible. It's just energy that needs an outlet. It's possible, absolutely possible. But it can also be spirits. You can see everything as anything. Everything can be demonic possession. It can be trauma. Yeah, it can be whatever, emotions. It can be just energy that needs an outlet. It doesn't really matter. So what do I do then? When I realize I feel like something is driving me. I don't know what it is. Is it a spirit? Is it just myself? Is it just energy building up? Is it because I ate sugar? What is it? But just now I was with the people who think they're my parents. And I went into my old room, which I'm still in the process of emptying. And there was a bag on my chair because, yeah, I'm just gonna call her my mother then. Because I feel like she's my mother. It doesn't really matter. I mean, she's cradled me, whatever, right? Whatever spiritual trip I'm on, there are certain things which you just have to acknowledge that they do a lot. They did a lot for me in my life. And that's why I also keep going back there. That's just how I do. And so what happened was, I went into the room and there was a bag lying there, and inside the bag was something I couldn't really pinpoint, and I thought it was figs, like dried figs, and I went like, ooh, dried figs! Yeah, like something like this. And then I checked, it was ginger, and then I felt a little disappointed. But I felt generally a little bit silly. And my mother eats quite a bit of sugar. Like, she's not fat or anything, she's slim. But she does like eating sugar. And I realized how it makes her a little bit silly. Not stupid, but silly in a way of not serious about her well-being. And maybe that's trauma, maybe that's like inner child or something. People have told me that I don't really think the ego exists. I've said before that what the ego is for me is energy that needs to go. And this sort of silliness, it's something that you see in children sometimes. When they do just a little bit silly things, right? And then they just start giggling. Right? It's like you say to someone, I use an irrigator to flush my colon. I said that yesterday 2 or 3 times, and there are some people who just go blank. It's just like, and then you see people that go like, I did this to people. I talked to them and I said, hey, before I came today, I used an irrigator to flush my colon. And it's like, I don't know if it's shame, or if they're just not used to hearing it, or if it's just discomfort, or it's like, oh my God, what am I supposed to say to this? Am I supposed to be disgusted now? He says it so casually. Yeah, because it should be something casual, man. And I'm just saying it because I'm having a blast. Because I know how stuck up you all are, how unflexible. I mean, there's a reason why it takes so long for people to acknowledge what I'm doing here. Because nobody has the balls to face themselves. This is something that I'm doing for fun. And all of you are scared shitless by my content. Nobody really knows what to do with it. I can't speak for now. We're now somewhere in July with my recordings. And today is the 11th of May. So I'm ahead of schedule. And I'm glad I am, because it takes a lot of pressure off my back. Because when I know I've recorded things, I also know my equipment didn't break in the meantime. So everything that's on my channel is on my channel. Unless, of course, they take it down, but I make great sure that I only say the things that YouTube wants me to say. But I'm also kind of losing track of what I've been saying and where to put it, to which playlist am I going to assign this. Because I have so much stuff already on YouTube, it's crazy. And it's all really in-depth, insightful. Right? It's like, believe me, it's a challenge. Anyway, Hemingway blew out his mind. That's basically what he did, because he couldn't manage to deal with these thoughts of suicide. The wish to kill himself, he redid it in the end. Why do you think he wrote so many books? Because otherwise he was just going insane. Why do you think I'm doing all of these things? Because if I don't do it, I feel like I'm going nuts. So sometimes I do imagine how I would go to the Boulder Hall, ask for a job, and then start working there, and I realize it just doesn't work. I think I would last 1 month, maybe 2, and then I would hate it so much I would just quit. I'd rather live on the streets than work for other people and with other people in such a way. I like going there to do my own thing, because if I go there and pay 11 euros, nobody can say anything. Then this is basically my kingdom for the time I'm there, right? It's like, you know, I'm like the silverback gorilla doing his own thing, and everybody's like, what is he doing here? Isn't he supposed to be somewhere in Samadhi? Like, isn't he supposed to be in a cave and meditate or something? Yeah. Supposedly. But my job is to just scare you all a little, so that you start realizing that everything you do is just facade. That the society that humanity has created, or some of them, is a really bad joke. It's very bad. It has no style. It has no class. It's just like pretentious. Everybody picks on each other. And the one that's the best at it is then the president, right? The worst asshole, the most corrupt guy, the best liar, he's the president. And if you know this, like, I know already, if I would go to the Boulder Hall and work there, they would try and take a piss on me. And I would have to deal with that. It would make me incredibly angry. So I don't do it. Because it would be the equivalent of taking my testicles, right, or my balls, and put them on a brick, and somebody comes with another brick and smashes them. That's the equivalent of working for other guys. That just, you know it. You just know it when you see them. If you would go there, to them it would be like a blowjob. It's like, oh, he wants to work for me. He would constantly try and take a piss on me. I already know that. But if I'm there as a guest, he has to treat me with respect. And I had to take one look at him to know I can never work for such a guy. The only one I can work for is life itself. And that's why where I go, I try to promote life as much as possible. And so when I come into this apartment and all kinds of stuff is lying around, then the one thing I know is, well, that's a symptom of life. Because sometimes I'm just so busy doing other things, I just can't be bothered to clean in here. And I like it that way. And sometimes then I have a moment and I clean. Right? If I would know I'm gonna receive a guest, yeah, I know it's not that dirty. It's kind of an organized chaos. And that's why, I can let myself go and still make more sense than most people in their weird cars and, with a new phone each year and with, I don't know, all kinds of things. And so sure, people are constantly trying to take a piss on me for who I am. And that's kind of annoying. But you just have to ignore them. Because anybody who has to do that just is really insecure. And we're talking about 60-year-old men. We're talking about 30-year-old men. We're talking about 60-year-old young men. And even women that just have to criticize everything that I do because they feel insecure about themselves, and so they try picking on what I do. And if I stop doing what I do because of something that they've said, then they feel powerful. It's like people criticizing the hangings here, which I love very much. Yeah. People just trying to look down on everything that I do in here. It's just this false pride. Oh, it's my boulder hall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you don't know what to do with it. Because if this would be my boulder hall, I would boulder the whole day. Because what's the point of a boulder hall? If you're getting chubby. Because then you can think, oh yeah, I'm giving all these people the opportunity to boulder. Yeah, but why aren't you bouldering? Like, why can't you enjoy some of that freedom? Yeah, because he just wants to make money. So, one reason why I wouldn't want to work in such a boulder hall is because it's just like power-hungry men. And, it's already small things like selling cake, coffee, milk products, like weird pastries or something. I would sell power balls made from dates or raw cocoa. These are the things that I would sell, right? Maybe vegan shakes or something. Yeah, maybe even gluten-free burgers. I don't know. I would have like a nice kitchen with it. This kind of thing. Like good food, fresh juices. But when, I would only buy as much that if it's out, right? If I sold 25 juices and I have no oranges left and the next guy comes, I say, sorry, I can make you a ginger tea or a ginger turmeric shot. And then he says, all right, I'll take that instead. I think we should promote other humans that start being a bit more flexible instead of humans that walk around and say, if I want fries, I forgot the potatoes again. If I want fries, I want fries. And if you don't have potatoes, then I will never come here again. Because they're so stuck at, this is what I want. Yeah. And I just like my life a little bit more simple. That's why, sure, I don't really like to invite people in here. Because this is really my heaven. I like it. I invite you in here if you want to watch this. And that's maybe as private as I can be, I don't know. Anyway, Hemingway. Now every time I say anyway, I have to think Hemingway. But yeah, eating sugar also comes with a cost, and that's like probably a bloated stomach, and you have to fart a lot. Wow. Yeah, all you gotta do is you just have to see where it's going and how it's going. And that's then all there is to it. Because we don't always know where to go, how to go, what to do, when to do it. All I felt was something wanted to come out. And there was one more thing. Just about people that think, yeah, I'm just gonna go swimming in a lake at night. Maybe even with psychedelics or whatever. I sometimes went swimming in a lake at night, also with psychedelics. And what I felt was that there was a kind of a power that was trying to drag me down, really. It was surrounding me. And I felt uneasy, but I managed to not give in to panic. But that takes practice and that takes focus. Because if you allow panic to take hold of you, you are probably going to drown. And there are people that drown because they just go somewhere at night, they don't know what they're doing. Maybe they take psychedelics and they just think they're gonna have a party. You need a certain seriousness. So you can't just blame it on sugar, of course, because I did eat always a lot of sugar. And I still, when I took psychedelics, I was very serious about it. I wasn't at all like others that just take it for fun, like have thousands of trips or something. No, I did it a couple of times, sure. I sometimes felt like I wanted to do it again. But I also knew somehow how to stop. And that's important, that you learn how to stop. So if you smoke today, don't smoke tomorrow. You smoke today, and then you wait for a month, and then you smoke again. You make it a ritual. You build it up. You see what wants to show itself. You really learn from smoking. That's how I started doing it. And that's how I feel like it should be. In a kind of a ritualistic way, that you focus on a point in the future and then you say, then I'm going to do it. But it's like this feeling I have with the cacao ceremony. It's just like constantly something trying to get me to do it. And I'm not sure if I want to. Because why do I always have to do it alone? I feel like it's getting kind of pointless to do it alone, because I'm just drinking it like I'm drinking orange juice. That's how I drink ritual cacao, right? I just sit down and just throw something in, and then it's like, all right. It's just, that's not really how it's supposed to be. That's how I feel like. But yeah, anyway, you see, there's a lot of things, it's not just about that I want to scare everyone. It's just that you realize that there are spirits and that sometimes your choices, maybe like this or like that. But in the end, you're the one who's doing it, so whoever's trying to talk to you, you just have to learn to sit with whatever is being suggested, whatever idea comes up, and then just try to understand from where it's coming. And sometimes you can feel a certain form of energy that's trying to get you to do something that you don't really like. But I feel like drinking ceremonial cacao is something that's been building up now, and I feel like I'm almost there. Although I don't really understand why. Sometimes I do things and I don't understand why. And that's what happened yesterday when I said, why do I always do these stupid things, right? It's like, I hike here, I boulder, and then I hike back. Why can't I just wear shoes? Why can't I just wear hiking boots? Why can't I just not do these things? Why couldn't I just stay at home? Because staying at home would have given me nothing to talk about. And because I got sick of staying at home, so I had to do something. And I let myself wander. And now I'm here again. And maybe I have to just take care of myself a little bit. And maybe that's why I'm going to drink a cacao, right? And I think I'm going to bring the stove here and make it in this room. Because also another part of me just wanted to eat this right away. But I also like to keep it for some time. Because usually when I have nuts, I just eat them all, the whole pack. Like, you can give me probably a kilo of nuts and raisins, I would just eat it all. It's just nothing. But where does it go? I don't know, right? I sometimes say I need it. I'm not sure. I could probably do breathing exercises. But somehow that just feels a little bit too perfect. All right, I'm just going to end this recording because I'm just clinging. Yeah, I'm clinging.